spider sling! Yoo-hoo! Spider-Man over here! I found trouble!
Ladies and gents, they're finally here. Introducing the Blokees Marvel Rivals Champion Class Model Kits. Spider-Man and Venom. Swinging into things with Spider-Man, all the sculpting and detail work is incredible and very accurate to the in-game model, which, look, I know some people don't like the more stylized Rivals designs, but in my opinion, Spidey's sleek athletic wear makes him look visually distinct from other versions of the character, while also still maintaining the core aspects that make his costume work in the first place. And here, the figure does an excellent job of capturing all of that. All the textures and very subtle costume details are translated exceptionally. His web lines aren't painted, and the blue might be a bit too shiny for my liking, but both things are easily fixable with a Gundam marker and some matte spray. Like, the little subtle dots on his eye lenses are just such a specific detail that I did not expect Blokees to capture. It's really genuinely awesome. But when you buy a Spider-Man figure, you want him to pose. So can this guy pose? Absolutely. Ball joint up in the head, ball joint in the neck, butterfly joints in the shoulders, ball joints that connect the arms to the torso, a shifting shoulder pad that gets out of the way of movement quite a bit. There's a hinge joint at the shoulders. Yeah, there's a lot of movement in the shoulder area. I'm not sure if you could tell. Bicep swivel, which I will point out on my left arm specifically, it likes to pop off. I will probably have to glue that down at some point. Double jointed elbows, ball hinges at the wrists that allow for side to side or up and down. Dumbbell at the upper and lower torso, allowing for some pretty good crunch and some pretty decent arc back. Drop down hinge joints at the waist, pretty good kick forward, decent kick back. Thigh swivel, double jointed knees. Ball hinges at the ankles allow for some pretty good rocker, though they do have a tendency to pop out, and toe joints. Packed with articulation for sure, but there are some minor limitations that may restrict your mobility. Doesn't mean this guy can't hit some amazing poses, especially considering the fact that this is a freaking model kit. Like, are you serious, Blokees? They just went, like, unnecessarily hard, but I very much appreciate it. Speaking of things I appreciate, let's take a look at the accessories. He includes fists, thwips, and wall-crawling hands, the holy trifecta of spider people musts. Though I don't know why these hands are unpainted, unlike the fists. That's kind of weird. He also comes with this web piece, which isn't bendy or anything, but you can kind of work with it a little. That can go straight around the wrist. And this web arm that he uses just to uppercut the shit out of people. But you can also just use it as a cast. You know, Spidey hurt his arm or something. Before we move on, I just want to say the build experience was pretty fun. Nothing crazy. A lot of the smaller parts were a little bit more annoying to put together, especially like the joints and stuff, but everything went together fairly smooth. I mean, Blokees is known for how easy it is to put their model kits together, so if you're looking for an easy and accessible model kits where you don't need any clippers or anything like that, then these guys are perfect, especially if you like Rivals like I do. But before I give my final thoughts on Spidey, let's move on to one of his most iconic rogues, Venom. And just like Peter, Eddie here looks just phenomenal. Beefy proportions, mighty glutes, crocodile face with that wicked tongue, it's all there. When we first saw the promo pics, I was really worried he'd be too shiny. After all, depending on the map, Venom looks almost gray in game. Even if this is a bit more than he probably should be, I think it just fits the character right. I actually really like the purple overspray or whatever it is mixed into the body, which just adds this other layer of detail, which is seriously impressive. The tongue being bright red does stand out a bit and looks a little cheap, but you can always pop it off if you aren't messing with it, but it looks a little weird if you do that. I know it's much more basic in concept, but I kind of like the paint job on Venom a little bit more. It just looks a little bit more interesting to me. What about articulation? How does he hold up next to the Web Warrior in that regard? Well, he's got a ball joint at the head. By the way, his head and jaw are two separate pieces. Ball joint at the tongue, ball joint at the neck. Same setup at the shoulders with the butterfly joints where a ball joint attaches from the torso to the arm. A hinge joint that actually goes up pretty high. Bicep swivel. Double elbows, but he's kind of thick so they don't go all the way up. And ball hinges at the wrist to go up and down or side to side. Dumbbell joint in the upper and lower torso allows for some good crunch and not bad arc. Drop down hips to allow for some great forward and back movements. Thigh swivel. Double jointed knees. Ball hinges at the ankles. Still has that popping off issue. And toe joints. So while I think he hits a lot of the same notes as PD, I think there's just something a little bit more satisfying about the chunkier limbs that makes him a lot more fun to pose around. With Spidey, I feel like I'm trying to be extra careful so he doesn't get Thanos snapped in my hands, but I don't feel nearly as worried about the big V. Just an incredibly fun figure to mess around with. And while Venom may technically come with less accessories, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're lesser quality. First things first, he's got an alternate stabby symbiote tendril arm, which unlike Spidey's webcast comes off pretty easily. It is always at a slight angle, but you can work around it. And this alternate backplate, which I will add is super tight, which creates one of the absolute highlights of this figure. 4 highly posable symbiote tentacles. These are absolutely gorgeous. 4 ball hinge joints in each tentacle, 16 joints total. Dear God, let me tell you, what a repetitive part of the build, but 100% completely worth it. Just look at the different poses you can hit with these things. I'm telling you, they elevate this model kit to new heights. They can even hold them up. Now we do have to address the scale in the room, because for many people it just doesn't work, and in some aspects I would have to agree. They look good next to each other until you realize that this is what Spidey and Venom look like in game, then it all kind of just falls apart. Blokees has their own scale, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I do wish there was a little bit more consistency within the line itself. These will absolutely not fit in with most of your 1/12 scale figures, which is just a major bummer. Hell, even posing these two next to each other feels somewhat wrong, and will feel even worse when Penny and Rocket release. At the end of the day, I'm still happy. The Rivals designs are amazing in my opinion, and I've desperately been wanting anybody to make figures of them since I dove headfirst into the game. Turns out Blokees, a company I had barely known, were the ones to come in clutch with their model kits. Like genuinely, since these were revealed as grayscale models back in June or July of 2025, I've been completely obsessed. And if their roadmap is anything to go by, we're in for an absolute treat. And look, they're both not perfect, but they're just so goddamn fun. And at the end of the day, these are toys, right? Sometimes that's all we need. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Stay safe, keep fed, be warm, and most importantly, ignite the battle!
Another epic victory! Big win!
That was pretty cringe, actually.